in the Zeri right alongside it. OMG, I'll also give a pass if they did just want to go towards the Aphelios, because you do have Abel, who I feel like is
if you
such
don't
a strong
you don't
player
ban it,
on
you just pick it, all right? You know?
It
I do
always
wonder
could
if
be
they
an
go with
option.
something a little bit. This
Please.
is a little bit of a hover there. Obviously, Abel having some games of the Samira, but I would expect something a little bit more stable, especially when we've talked so much heavily about Elk and Abel, about the late game, and about that Aphelios you were highlighting earlier. So there it is.
So they did go back to, again, what is more comfort for Abel, in my opinion. And now looking at the side of BLG, I mean, in my mind, there's really no reason not to go towards that Zeri pick. They could look to get, you know, the Enchanter support pick here if they want to just go towards that Lulu. Wukong's also open if they're afraid of that getting pinched out and they want to make sure they have like a solid engage tool going into these team fights. You know, it'd be a huge wombo combo Cyclone coming in, setting up for the slicing Maelstrom. So that'll really be the two options you have. And I think I'd kind of lean more heavily to wanting to go towards that Wukong pick.
There you go.
Because we've seen that, I mean, tank supports and anything else really can be played in that bot lane.
The Venn diagram composition that just explodes you out of the water. We'll see if they can actually get anything else to kind of tie that together as well. But right now, it's a response for OMG before we go into the second phase of bans. Looking for something to connect with Aki on this Vi. And they've been hovering over the Ari and over the Sylas, both decent mobile picks, but definitely Creme more comfortable on the Sylas in his holistic career. And there it is.
Yeah, so going to go back to comfort, going to be able to work well in terms of that 2v2, and I mean, a lot of good ultimates to take away so far. I'm most interested to see what OMG are going to lean towards for top lane, and if BLG, like what they're going to limit out of those options.
Taking away the circles, Lyric. Taking away the circles.
Against Kennen, I feel like there's like not too many great things already, right? We've seen some like Malphite picks come out into him. The Scion is something you can always look to go into. If you wanted to be cheeky, I think Breathe was someone who brought out the Jarvan, and you try to go that way.
That did not go that well, though. So maybe you don't go that. I'm just saying. We'll see. We'll move past that. We do have that Vanguard ban, though, as well as the Kasante ban by BLG.
Yeah, so at least just going to take away like a strong generic pick for Shanji in that top side, and it's been his most played by a mile. So with that taken off the board, maybe the Scion is a second takeaway and force him onto something more volatile.
Circles.
Yeah,
more circles.
I guess you're right. They don't want to deal with those. I don't actually think it's too big of a deal, like taking away some of you know these like key champions for Yagao. Yagao's shown he's someone who's very flexible in terms of what he's
literally an
willing and able
LPL
to play.
champion just last year. Like this guy showed a breadth, I feel like, in that last year that felt so good for him. Obviously, World's not the greatest situation for the team, but now coming into his own in the late season stretch for BLG, I think it's been so important. He's been really a rock in mid lane for them to play around with the way that they like to play. We'll see how they go with the second phase for him, though it is the Lulu locked in, the combo with the Aphelios. We'll see that Rakan is still open. Mentioned it earlier. It is hovered here.
Yeah, and to me, that's crazy, right? Ppgod not picking up the Rakan has been his champion on, like we said, his signature pick as well. I wouldn't be surprised for him to lock this in. Just give yourselves more like angles to play out in team fights. You already have a ton of champions you're able to link up with. But now it's going to be up to Yagao with where he wants to go. Surprisingly, we even still have some things like the Annie left open, which, you know, have become very standard in that mid lane. So that would be where my mind gravitates to for BLG. And we're finally going to get the answer of what Shanji wants to pick into the Kennen. And I hope it's not just the generic Scion.
We'll see what we get in terms of spice. I really like this pick for Yagao. I think something we've really seen come into fruition in these playoffs for Annies is the decisive kill from mid lane, right? Like the flash anti-tippers from a bush that we've really seen a lot of our mid laners take into abandon and really find a lot of kills with. So I'm excited for this for Yagao because it sets up a lot of combos before they get to the big team fights, or if they can get a catch out beforehand before an objective. But this is the pick here. This is the answer that they want to go with. OMG lock in the Malphite.
Yeah, so we were hitting on it earlier, right? And I mean, just going to try and have multiple ways to be able to get on top of Elk later on. Having to worry about a Malphite, a Vi, a Sylas, all getting on top of you. I feel like it's a really solid plan when we hit on that Elk has squarely typically been the win condition for the side of BLG, even despite how well Ben has been doing. But looking at these compositions, I think we're set up for huge 5v5s, right? Kennen, Wukong, Zeri on one side, Malphite on the other. So that's really when the game is going to break open. Early on, though, definitely looking a little bit, especially around mid jungle for the side of BLG, maybe like bringing that pressure up.
In our round 4 bout, our lower bracket elimination matchup, a best of 5 determines if one of these teams will advance and the other will go home until summer. As we hit Rift for the first time, we will keep an eye on our top lane shenaniganery, boys, but specifically how long it takes for one of these two teams to get a little bit rambunctious and get into those objective fights, the team fights that will be coming as the Gyos rank.
Already know we're going to be paying a lot of attention to bot lane, but Bin and what kind of advantage he can find in that 1v1, I think will also be crucial. Again, Shun, I wouldn't be surprised if he gave, you know, a little bit of early attention to the top lane, make sure that Bin sets himself up for a good advantage, then kind of leave the Kennen to his own devices for later on where he can link up in team fights.
AP Shanji, let's go. I want to see it.
Yep.
Maybe.
This has been,
be.
I mean, at least going towards the Comet has been standard. Not the Comet, the Aerie has been standard in this matchup. It's usually, you know, one or the other, but I feel like Aerie has been a little bit more commonplace in being able to try to match that damage come out of the Kennen, you know, champion who doesn't have any innate sustain built into his kit, and try and make sure that, you know, he has to go for those recall timings and you aren't just getting forced out of base yourself.
I'm interested to see how this top lane matchup goes. Obviously, it's probably the most exciting of all the solo matchups that we have in this one. I think Yagao and Creme, for me particularly, is very fun, but I think these two guys have been very strong pillars for both their two teams in a little bit the same way, but a little bit of a different way. I like that they're very much opting into different styles of these kind of team fight influences. Bin with a lot of the flanks, a lot of slicing maelstrom, Shanji with the catch out potential of the unstoppable force. It's going to be so crucial to both these two teams later on in terms of those executions we were talking about.
Yeah, a lot you have to worry about, which is why we're going to top lane, but mid lane as well. I feel like Yagao should be in a pretty decent place. I mean, you're going to be playing ranged against melee, and anytime Creme ever tries to go for an all-in, which is one of the ways that, you know, Sylas wins through these like short bursty trades. I mean, as Yagao, you have the shield, you even have a stun to just dissuade that from happening, and then be able to walk away, and be able to tether range and win the trade on the way out.
And we will see opposite side pathing, at least for both junglers. We do see that Bin is 7-1 on the Kennen. Not too shabby there himself, but I do wonder now with Shun going up this way if they'll be able to pressure Shanji under turret a little bit, or if it's just going to be this full clear tempo for BLG.
We can see there for OMG as well, just sitting on champions again. That first game of Malphite for Shanji. So, you know, I guess the cap to plague Malphite really shouldn't be that hard. But we'll see if he is able to pilot it, especially we know he's going to be left on his island.
Hit the button in the right place at the right time.
And then Mazel, they flash it. What do you do now? What do you do?
Well,
you've used the only button you have.
You're a mountain. I don't think you got much to say. Like at that point, we do see actually Aki pathing down, maybe just going for the scuttle, already pinging that way. Does have to push in bottom lane. Could wrap around towards mid, but we'll see Shun going up towards his top side. Like we said, Bin getting a lot of poke and no mana on Shanji.
We're going to see if he's able to do it. You have to be careful, though, because Bin is also quite low. They're going to juggle the
Oh, there we go. There's the flash, though, but they have the CC combo. Shun! He has to flash out. They do get the execution kill. That is first blood for BLG.
Huge. I mean, already setting up your top lane for success. Even blowing his flash to a potential repeat play is always there. Shanji, we know, is going to still be squishy enough so you can look for that play. And look at the CS lead that Bin's already started to build. I mean, Shanji TP, so we got back to lane, didn't lose everything, but definitely lost some minions on that play. And now this Kennen, who's going to get a bit of MR under his belt, actually going to give Shanji some respect, can really start trying to take advantage of this matchup.
Shun will actually see Aki taking away his chicky nuggies. Maybe a little salty about that one, but back should come through from Aki. The thing is, though, OMG were pathing to try to make a play towards bottom side, but with a little bit of that knowledge already obviously there for BLG and the strength of this duo, they weren't able to try and get something. So getting a little bit of pity prizes for Aki, and a reset goes out there. So BLG strike first, and there is no real response from OMG just yet.
I do want to say, like, great vision coming out for them in the meantime. Look at the minimap, just, you know, the red side jungle BLG littered with OMG wards. So they're going to be able to spot out exactly what Shun is doing and should give Aki a bit of an information advantage to try to make a play of his own. For BLG, their vision, of course, being set up to make sure that that Kennen could just keep hammering away on that turret. quite freely. So I wouldn't be surprised if we start seeing Aki just make your way down towards the bot lane again. You know, if you spot Shun making his way up towards top, potentially set yourself up to either like go for a dragon or maybe even start looking for a play towards the mid. As Creme should be quite close to being able to hit level 6.
We're very interested in the Kennen wave there, but I do want to see, especially now that we're getting a little bit of push on the map by BLG, they're going to go for this objective as well. They're moving on, and that is where the bread and butter feels like for BLG. As soon as On gets out on the map, you have such great connections between him and Shun, and we already see Yagao pressuring Creme off of mid lane.
Doing that because Shun is going for that dragon, not wanting any sort of shenanigans to come about. It looks like Aki is in the area, though, so they're going to spot this out.
Does he want the smoke here, Lyric? I think a little bit early to tussle. It is a 3v4. Should have the vault breaker to get out of there. Does
Creme's on his way.
Go aggressive though. Aki, there's a flash from Yagao and a second kill to BLG. Elk gets it as well. That is the worst of worst for OMG, and now a dragon goes over.
Creme though takes away the Rakan ult.
They are just all in into this. Abel has red and white. Does he have the fight though? Shun going in for a little bit of damage. On able to back them away. And OMG and turn their tails running.
Honestly, just huge dub for the side of BLG. They get the dragon, they get some kills under their belt. They're not really going to lose anything in terms of lanes, because like you look at the mid, you're like, oh, Creme's going to push it in, but Yagao, his teleport, everything is just solid for BLG right now.
That was actually so good. And interesting, I like the attempt of OMG, try to go in all together, but now they get duoed in bot lane. Abel getting so low. Where is your genius today? As L can't get the shot around the corner. And maybe he has just sprung a master plan here. Aki is trying to get the corner. He does have the range. He does have the vault breaker. Creme is coming down as well. This duo is about to go down for BLG. And they try to get under turret, but here comes Creme. Trying to get Elk. He does get it. And a double kill to the mid laner of OMG.
A bit of over-aggression, and BLG will pay for it. Honestly, though, I'm feeling for them. I get it. We saw Abel get so low. How can you not try and chase down for that kill? But for OMG, Aki being in the right place and Creme having more than enough time to get there, it does look like he ended up losing some waves mid to be able to make that roam. But we're going to go back and see here. Oh, this is actually the play that started off Dragon. Again, delaying Yagao. Yagao delaying Creme from going back. And then Aki wanted to buy time to look at the minimap. Creme is on his way here again. But still, it feels like too soon to go in. Yagao having the flash for the stun to be there. He gets picked off quite fast. And then
he starts walking now. Oh,
yeah,
no, he doesn't actually.
Naka comes on, and then, I mean, polymorph. Damage comes out, but the shield being a bit too much in the exhaust, being so clutch. With all those summoners being down, it just gives time for Aki, and even surprisingly, Creme to make it all the way down here.
The fact that Creme picks up a double kill as well. Yagao's just sitting there with a question mark over his head because now he's got to deal with a 2-kill Sylas.
Not a question
early
mark
on his game.
He's pissed.
Is he angry? It's an exclamation mark.
He's the Arthur Fist meme, you know? He's
oh, no.
He's not happy with Elkanon.
He's not happy, man. Can somebody recreate that for me, please? That would be incredible. We do get the Rift Herald, though, completed for Shun. Ben actually going in on Shanji here. Popping that slicing Maelstrom. We'll see if this Venn diagram can be effective for BLG. Does get the ulti out from Shanji in the end. Shun will actually buy mid lane, and a little bit of punish onto Creme. And that's a nice little hunk of gold to Shun.
And I mean, Shun is Rift Herald. I'm curious if they're going to even look to just drop that here and see if they can get something out of it.
Right?
Or if they're going to wait and maybe try to prioritize the gold on
that's
carry.
it,
Nope. Yep, looks like they do just want to make sure that Yagao can just keep getting strong. And now, I mean, ball's in OMG's court. You know, where can they answer now? Starting to have sending some pressure down in that bot lane like we could see. Sumi Faraki is time to start making your way down there. Shanji should be fine. Now having picked up those Merc Treads for himself.
I gotta ask something, and it's a looming threat here. There's a giant elephant in the corner, and we gotta talk about it. This was an opt-in pick for Shanji into Bin. Bin first picked this Kennen. It's not going so well in the CS department. Is there an end goal here? Just that culmination of the unstoppable force?
I mean, there's not an end goal in terms of the 1v1 in my mind. Like you're picking a tank into Kennen, you're waiting to that point where you do get insanely tanky. One of the things about Malphite, right, is just having the ability to trade out with your Q and E and try and be able to match that. But
That's a
We're really just going to look to see
almost.
what his impact is in team fights. But I feel like this is every pick we've seen to Kennen. We've seen the Malphites already. We've seen the Chogats. We've seen the typical Scions. Again, we had the Jarvan. Irelia is one that I don't think LPL teams have really tried to lean in towards. But again, you theoretically can try to go towards that and have that same all-in pressure that, like, you know, the Assassin Jarvan does when Breathe brought that out. So a few different options. We've seen most of them tested, and Kennen almost always just comes out ahead.
Well, and you take that into consideration, but then you also put Bin on there, where Bin has had an insane season so far in terms of his growth as a top laner, but just how he has taken to task a lot of our top laners in the LPL. And I think especially in this playoff, we've seen him trying to pull BLG from the brink himself, even when you were talking about that earlier from the last series.
Look, I'm just saying, Bin said the best top laner in LPL is the Shy. He beat the Shy, therefore Bin will be able to smack anybody.
Results
I'm going to keep bringing that up.
Love that in the LPL.
love it. I love that every LPL top says the Shy is the best. Is Bin now? We're sitting on him. Aki does have his ult, but not going to look for the commit just yet.
Sneaky snake here, Aki. Until he goes back for more. He's luring around the snake's den.
I mean,
Aki
I guess for Aki, right? Bin never did actually walk by the pit itself, so not giving Aki that opportunity. Even Creme to be pushed in.
There is a dragon being started up by BLG right now, so it looks like those should just be a little bit of a trade. Second dragon for BLG though.
Second dragon, Rod of Ages is also going to be online for Yagao. We have Divine Sunderer there for Shun, like some nice item breakpoints being hit. Even Bin looks incredibly close to being able to get that rocket belt, even with him making the pit stop of the Verdant Barrier pickup, just to make sure that he's able to win out even harder in that 1v1.
Oh. See, an attempted engage there. The quickness did get popped by On. Trying to use a little bit of this combo there. Can't find it necessarily. We'll see a continued stalemate on the bottom side for now, but they actually are going to be moving as a duo. I think, again, back to it. This is BLG's most important point, especially in these kind of reaching into the mid game where they will need to find a little bit of cohesion here. You can get a full engage from Yagao there, popping up that tipper.
I think BLG feel incredibly comfortable right now, though. Ppgod.
They waited so long for this. The lightning crash does come through. You got Hockey coming around the corner, baiting out a little bit of space here. You have red and white available for Abel. No more ultis on the bottom lane of BLG. Shun is right around the corner. We'll see who takes the bait first.
And like you said, the ultis being gone from BLG, I feel like will be the key difference maker, because Wild Growth and Moonlight Vigil still there for OMG if anything did break out. So nice for BLG that nothing does end up coming to fruition. But BLG, I was saying, I feel like they're comfortable, right? You have about a 2k gold lead. You're sitting on 2 dragons. You're going to have great damage later on between the Zeri and the Kennen. I guess it is going to be a tough job for Elk in terms of all the threats that he has to worry about on the side of OMG. But it's kind of a similar story. Like, this game looks like a living hell for the AD carries. Flash Annies, Kennen's
exactly
coming at you, Vibes, Malphites.
Ooh, we got a little bit of anti-Tibbers action here. Creme stealing away. Trying to get the combo on the Yagao. Does do a decent amount in the trade. You're not able to get him down. But that's exactly what we needed as a response to how these teams have found success, right? Both teams needed to come in, needed to find a way to shut down bottom lane.
Yeah, you're right. They both really all in on that being the go-to option. And I feel like a lot of this really work coming down to the fact that Bin has been able to do so much in this 1v1, which, right, that's going to be something that's going to be putting a ton of pressure on Abel later on. The fact that this Kennen is getting accelerated, is picking up these plates, has just under a 40 CS lead in that top lane that isn't really being matched anywhere else. You know, Creme's also got mid, as you would expect in this matchup. Abel at least has a bit of a CS lead to try to bring that down a little bit, but I really am just so afraid of these soul lanes.
Now I'm looking, obviously Yagao getting his Rod of Ages a little bit quicker than Creme, but him himself got to be a strong presence here in this mid game, specifically for BLG. Obviously they lose the side lane tower here, but they have 2 minutes till another dragon. That'll be BLG's sole point. I think they're just farming up till they get this first item spike for Elk and maybe try to put up a fight there where they're going to be testing OMG's early game mechanics.
Definitely are, and it's been a bit of a trade in terms of, right, they've gotten 2 turrets low, mid, and top, to where OMG really only focused on that bot lane turret. So 1 for 1 in terms of turrets, but we need to keep our eyes on Rift Herald now, because that's where BLG are sending their main forces. Looks like OMG probably won't even contest if we see where Aki and Creme are on the minimap, makes sense. You're not going to get Prio in topside. We can see what's going on in
Trying
mid.
to catch it down, maybe? Nah. They were spotted out by BLG. There was a bunch of question markings coming that way. So should be another Rift Herald going to BLG. And more standing gold on the map for a team that's already 2K up.
And I want to point this out, that BLG, they've been a team that throws games. Great at catch. They rank like 9th or 10th in terms of win rate with a lead at the 15-minute mark, which for a team that's in the top 4, that just shows, again, like how much they are losing games that they shouldn't. But even though that would normally be a worry, OMG actually ranked just under them. I think BLG's 9th and OMG are 10th. OMG kind of equally have been able to get gold leads, but not be able to finish out games. So I think it's another thing that makes this series all the more interesting to see if we do get, you know, the wonky but lovable LPL gold graphs.
Yeah, and I expect that because both teams are very chaotic when we get to the late game, right? They're very scrappy, and that's what's won them a lot of games. That's what got them here into the playoffs in the first place. But the thing is, when you go up, I guess, against teams as you're finding weaknesses, it becomes a weakness. And I'm wondering how this kind of works when both kind of immovable objects come to bat each other here. We got about 15 seconds for this Dragon. BLG setting all eyes here already. Pings into the mid lane. Maybe a little bit of a distraction Rift Herald here from BLG. They'll be trying to get priority.
Yeah, when you keep Rose and Shanji did just finish picking up that Abyssal Mask, so going to do a nice job in trying to deal with Bin and Yagao.
Here comes the rock.
I wonder if BLG is going to put any pressure on them. Doesn't look like it, so Shanji should just be able to keep walking down here, but BLG trying to do their due diligence, get a bit more vision before they do just outright start
the
this
right
one.
Guns. Yagao. This is what I was talking about in the draft, but they don't have the damage yet. And stay able to survive because of the wild growth, but that is a fear that is just struck to the heart of OMG.
So, good ult in terms of it forces them off, gets them Dragon. They're now going to be on soul point at only the 17-minute mark. But like you were saying, not being able to follow up there, a little bit overambitious. Is OMG now going to try and make this play on mid?
Shanji still has the pull of the trigger. We do get that turret down. This will be second tower for OMG that has fallen. All BLG had lost that priority in mid lane. Looks like things should calm down now. Both teams at least walking away with a little bit of sustenance. Still that gold lead there available for BLG, about 2K in the advantage.
Yeah, so BLG still feeling fine with kind of the pace that the game is going. To be fair to OMG, I mean, right, they're going to be able to contend with them in 5v5s, even if this gold lead maintains. Abel's getting his items. The rest of your squad are pretty much just frontliners trying to buy space and buy time for him, so they're going to be able to do their jobs. And I feel like to where BLG have like looked solid early, they're really good at transfer pressure from lane to lane. I feel like OMG's biggest strength really has just been their ability to play out these 5v5s. Typically with like Creme being on these mobile champions and how he's able to create space. Ppgod, I love when he's on engagers, but it's also fine on enchanters, but Ppgod, sick engager as well, and then you're really just setting up for Able to be self-sufficient, drop as much DPS as possible. But BLG aren't going to make it easy for them to be able to come into those fights on even ground.
Yeah, I just love that we get a mechanics slugfest within these team fights. It's going to be very keen to keep your eyes peeled for what happens.
Do we Mazel, we get like a Malphite all into an anti-flash
But it's when those things happen, right? I think that's the most important thing, and especially when you're looking at how important Able and Elk are to the compositions, that matters even more. Now we're getting more item completions across the board. I just saw that Creme completed. Oh, he actually resold it. He does end up going to complete that Zanya's. So we have our second item spikes at least coming up, and OMG looking to play a little bit more aggressive.
OMG gonna look to try to find something. We need to keep our eyes peeled for Baron coming up in the next 40 seconds. I don't expect either team to just outright rush Baron. Neither of these teams have been that quality of like topping sports. Now they've played the games on. Be careful, little buddy.
Don't have anybody here, buddy. Does pop the quickness from Creme. Yagao has shown up and unable to survive. Tell another day. But I do wonder how that positioning happened. Now we do want to look at some more vision control coming out from BLG, and I like that On did get that deep vision. We'll see if that does come back to bite them a little bit.
I'm gonna find out, but funnily enough, BLG still wanting to posture up around this top side and make sure to deny some of these control wards. As we said, Baron spawning. even if you don't necessarily plan on starting yourselves, just denying, leaving it a question mark for the enemy team of what could be going on. And really just setting up for, if someone does overextend or, like Aki earlier, posturing a little bit too long to find the pick. But speaking of picks,
what I love is that we have the Chemdrake Soul, so the Blast Cones, even better delivery for these insane top laner ultis. I'm really excited to see, especially that we're getting to this moment. We're getting a minute and 50 seconds away from a soul for BLG. OMG are going to have to fight this, it feels like, or sack a lot of control around the map, around the future objectives as well. And now we're going to get the influence of what the 5v5 we've been waiting and praying for.
And I feel like OMG now should be feeling good because IE definitely feels like a better 2-item spike than Elk there now on the Runons. And Aphelios really just will be packing a punch. But I still just want to highlight the engage options because that's what we need to focus on. We need to keep our eyes on Shanji. We need to keep our eyes on Yagao and Finn going into these fights.
They're going in. The double flank TP, the Timbers, and the slicing maelstrom on top. Abel can't get out of that one. Aki falls soon after as well. There's the unstoppable force. They get a trade back on a bin. He finally goes down, flash from Shanji, but everything else is burning around. Oh my God.
And now BLG can turn to this Baron. They're going to feel great about picking it up considering only Creme and Shanji are left alive. Shanji not even having the ult. They know they pose no threat. And we were saying, Mazel, even though it's about the 80 carries, you got to keep your eyes on the engage and the TPs coming out from both the Kennen and
no
the
vision.
Flash in, Timbers comes out. I mean, what could he do? There's just nothing to do when you're facing against these champions. And then Shanji wasn't even in the area.
Yeah, even if he had taken cleanse this match, that is just too much. And that is exactly what BLG brought to the table, how they've been approaching this. We saw Yagao go for it early. He put the fear in Abel, and now he's terrified because this combo will just shut down Abel every single time if they can catch him out like that.
And Shanji only on 1.5 items. I believe Bin is a full item up. Yeah, almost even kind of making his way towards that void
It's a constant 40 CS
incredibly
lead.
Close to those. I mean, you're pretty much just up everywhere. And Yagao still hasn't even had to use his stopwatch yet. Hasn't felt any danger.
A little bit of solo lane question marks coming out for OMG. We'll see them back away, try to refocus on this because they have a soul fight to fight for.
Shanji's ult is back up. Yagao might have Timbers, but no flash online this time, so it won't be as easy to find your way onto Abel.
Can they still fight it, though? They do get Shanji over the wall. Timbers will be sacrificed like the martyr he is. Creme has stolen the slicing maelstrom, but he can't get in. They go in, though. They get their own wombo combo. Abel can't get the damage in yet, but the Moonlight Vigil strikes true, and he's red-white. He's going in. Can he survive? But no, because Zeri exists. That's a triple kill for Elk, and Yagao stands true the entire time as the little girl of Annie picks up a big kill, and BLG are off to the races.
I mean, still, 4 for 4 in the end. As OMG, the team whose backs were up against the wall, the team that was sweating. You're going to take that every single time. Creme, Shanji able to set it up. Moonlight Vigil to follow through. We're going to see it here. BLG,
this
I feel like
started with Yagao ulti.
Yeah, BLG, I feel like because they know that it's going to be hard to just aggress onto Abel without that flash, try to just dissuade them from coming in, but it's here. Slicing Maelstrom comes out from Creme. He's able to buy time with the Zanyas. Malphite ults, and then right there, Moonlight Vigil feeling so much. So many chakrams coming in, and that allows him to take down the Zeri. And, it does get low, so Yagao does end up picking these up. It doesn't really mean too much. Again, OMG going 4 for 4. You're going to feel happy that you got something. You didn't lose soul.
I will say there, though, on a huge playmaker in that moment. He stopped the damage dealing of Abel. Yes, they were still able to come in with the Moonlight Vigil, but that was key. Now Dragon will go down to OMG, so they stop the stacking. BLG trying to put up some fisticuffs here. They've got Finn on the flank. He's got the slicing maelstrom. Aki has taken the bait, and here goes BLG. OMG have no escape, but Creme is coming on the back. They can't find Abel just yet, but they lock him down. And 3 quick kills. BLG. Pop, pop, pop goes OMG.
And now they can keep trying to barrel down some of these lanes, get some structures down. They sadly, a wave was just pushed in mid, so they are going to be able to start doing that now.
Ppgod Gaming.
Mazel, he's dead. He's dead. I don't even know why our observers are still focusing on this. I want to see the push. I want to see the camps be stolen. The leads come out for BLG is Creme. Not going to go down.
They have springboarded this lead, though, man. Off the back of some very decisive plays. It was something we highlighted from draft. That is where BLG are the most lethal, when they have some engaged potential, when they can play from flanks. But now when Yagao is on the Annie, he is just picking out your carries. And you have to continue to focus on the slicing maelstroms. You have to continue to focus on so many different avenues. Now we're seeing OMG focus on an avenue themselves, but they will not be successful in catching out Ben.
Not going to be able to do it this time, and now resets coming on through. We could see Void Staff and Sorcerer Shoes picked up by the Kennen. I'm curious to see what other items are able to come online. Rylai's now going to be there for Yagao. Just more utility, able to help make sure that you're able to stick and stay on top of Abel in these fights.
That's 3 items for Yagao now as well. We'll take a look back at that fight.
And I feel like the positioning is so weird here from OMG. They're trying to walk in. We have no one marking the side flank from Bin. So how does Abel really ever walk up to deal damage with the rest of the members? I guess they were hoping you get in and you get out fast enough to be able to do something, but you just set yourself up for your whole team to get blown up. And again, you're one huge damage dealer, not able to do anything.
And it's a two-way street, right? That you can say that BLG is utilizing their avenues really well, knowing where OMG are putting vision, but it's also OMG not having enough vision, not having the clear vision when they're approaching these kind of choke points where they put themselves into those positions.
I feel like for most part, it's been BLG looking really solid. I feel like that was like the first fight I looked at where I'm like, OMG, this is pretty questionable in terms of the engage that's coming through. Yeah, we're almost on a death cap now for Creme, so maybe he'll be able to get a bit more done. We saw, again, the big defining moment for them was when he stole away that slicing maelstrom, and he was able to get so much damage dished out, buy so much time with that Zanya's, you know, come out from the stasis, have the Kingslayer, get a bit of health under your belt, and just re-jump back in with those cooldowns up.
Goodness gracious, we look at some of the gold differentials, especially top, especially jungle right now. BLG surging forth. They have 3 items across their carries as well. Looking for a tier 2 tower in the top lane.
But Mazel, I want you to move your eyes to the Zeri inventory. Stopwatch, gonna be there. Has flash up now as well. Ghost, cooldown, you know, Ghost is up. So all these things, so many ways to just survive.
OMG found their moment though, maybe. The Cyclone was huge, but is it enough? It goes down, but it's still the damage center that you have to focus on. Abel, he's stacking up those shot rooms. He has some good damage, but his front line has already got it. Gets caught out by the CC. And another kill goes to BLG. Elk is going for it. A double kill for him. And it's BLG with a monumental lead in game 1.
And when the engage goes up onto the Kennen, and even frees Elk up to use those summoners aggressively, flash in, run them down, set up these kills, and now for BLG going to make their way over towards the Baron yet again. That means they're going to have this, they're going to buff up minions to get Prio in all their lanes. For Dragon, which is coming in 1 minute, and should easily be able to convert this into Assault.
28 minutes in, that'll be a Baron to BLG. You see Aki's attempted engage in the hole. Oh, I didn't see that observer's highlighting it there. Shanji missing the big hole.
Yeah, not able to connect with it. I still feel like there'd be a problem here. Like, just no one.
It doesn't get any better.
Yeah, no one locking down like Elk. We just see how much he's able to do once he gets involved. Shun, I think, really nice job using that CC there and kind of being that buffer for him to put off all that damage.
Aki's just trying to get a flank ward there, but now he has found trouble in his neck of the woods. Aki getting locked down, and the rest of BLG have come forth. You got Aki taking on the world, but Elk claims another victim.
And that's Salt. 20 seconds till that one's up. They're going to be able to guarantee that. They have Baron. You can see all the lanes are already being pushed, so they should have an easy time pivoting to either mid or bot and start making sure that these go down.
You've got your hat now, first. Lyric. Is it enough? Or will it just turn into an aluminum foil hat that they use to put you in some little safe comfort there? We'll see BLG moving now.
I was going to say, where are we going with this?
Comfort, man, comfort. We'll see BLG, though, take down another inhib here in the side, or a inhib, rather. Oh, Creme on the side, maybe looking for a little bit of flank action, but they're just trying to clear out as much as they can and save at least one of their inhib towers. As they still have top, they still have mid, but bot lane has been struck, and now Dragon on the table for BLG.
And BLG making sure that they get something with this Baron before turning towards the Drake itself. So that'll be nice, a constant source of pressure down towards that bottom half of the map. And now means they can just focus on playing a 2-lane setup through top and mid. You know, just start destroying the rest of OMG's base and making it impossible for them to walk out. You can even see now having to walk through their jungle together, try and, get back some of this vision, get a red buff for Abel and really just get things online. Now BLG coming back out, just, you aggressive pushing into that topside jungle, clear out their vision and make it impossible for them to leave their base.
Yeah. And we had said coming to this one, right, it was definitely a bold execution move from OMG, the way they drafted, but it had the potential to really upset a lot of our drafting going forward in this best of 5. This answer has not come to fruition. They were not able to establish the catch-outs as best as they could and didn't ever really find this advantage, right? And I think that becomes difficult to execute as you go further in the game. Now, let's see if they do have that bar of execution. They have the all-in, but now they're all grouped up. Big Moonlight Vigil, but here comes the rest of BLG. Elk goes over the wall. He's shooting him down, but Aki, he's not there to save you today. He doesn't have anything left for OMG. As Ben throws up the fireworks of his slicing maelstrom, but that's a complete ace and a complete capture of game number 1 for Bilibili Gaming.
BLG starting with some momentum. They come out swinging. Great engages from Yagao, Shun on. Been there with the flanks. And then Elk able to dish out the damage that we were saying. It would be up to these AD carries to deliver.
Yep.
Honestly, both teams built death traps for the enemy AD carry, but BLG and their soul laners especially. But I mean, again, you highlight some good points on it. I feel like Shun had some great engages. Like, they were doing a phenomenal job of making sure that they were consistently finding their way onto Elk. Not onto Elk, onto Abel. Elk was their AD carry. Elk
just had to be there to pop in some lightning every now and then. But it really was an impressive game number 1 for BLG. We saw both teams come out with a lot of strengths that played what we've seen them be successful with, but with some answers fine-tuned to their opponents. But BLG rose to the occasion of that execution, right? They were able to find a lot of maybe happenstance advantages early on. They had a constant CS lead for Ben in the top lane, 40 CS over the Malphite it was chosen into, and that's just not a point of stability that you can lose for OMG.
No, and it's why it comes down to I like the BLG now are like, you give a little bit of attention to top. We saw the early dive, but then leave Ben on his own. He can do fine in those 1v1s. And especially when you're giving away this Kennen, like, that's going to be something that OMG might have to problem solve, but probably not. I would assume we're going to swap sides, which means we should get different takes on draft overall. But things like that. I feel like a lot of picks, the Rakan was something I was highlighting of like, what's going to go on with this? It's Ppgod's most played champion by a mile. Even this split, they don't, take that one through. Kennen, he's given over. I feel like Kennen doesn't really have any great answers that, any teams have shown to be able to put up with that. That goes over. The Zeri, which, even though Aphelios, I feel like, is better for Abel, I still feel like Zeri's more ridiculous. So, and then, that's just me, Mazel, but we've seen Zeri do too many crazy things. So I feel like coming out of this game, BLG just got a lot of good priority picks, even the Annie being something we highlighted. And yeah, they were able to deliver, find the early leads, and never give OMG away into this game.
And it is not one of our traditional LPL gold graphs. It is a BLG-centric gold graph here for this one, but as well as a continued focus on where the spotlight should be, and it is on Elk, right? We set that up, Elk versus Abel in the very beginning. I think Elk really shined through in this one from the help of his teammates, right? Rising tide raises all ships and all that, but it was just a really good setup and spike down from Elk and BLG.
Yeah, and Shun as well. 88% KP.
Goodness.
Being the one to set it up, to kind of throw up the ball for Elk to be able to spike down. And I feel like that's what I love about watching this BLG team is you can pretty much highlight anyone because, again, they do just play so together in terms of like how they attack the map. And that's why in their wins, a lot of them can end up looking good. And when they lose, usually the whole squad kind of ends up looking terrible. So really is a win as a team, lose as a team type of squad on Bilibili.
Yeah, and I'm really interested to see if OMG have a big response or if they kind of try to just adapt small things coming into game 2. We are going to step away for a little break, and until then, I'm going to give